Lifestyle. I wanted to go over bandhas today because bandhas are super important in your yoga practice as well as in everyday life. When we start to work and use our bandhas effectively in yoga, we become lighter and more efficient in the way that we use our energy in our body and the way that we're able to move through our poses. So I'm going to go over the basic bandhas today that you can incorporate, and then in the future we'll have videos where we go a little bit more in depth into each bandha. So the first bandha I want to talk about is Pada Bandha, which is your feet. If you notice on your foot, you've got naturally an arch that resides on the interior of the foot. When we're working with Pada Bandha, we take an action of lifting our toes up. And when we lift our toes up, it's naturally going to lift that arch. Now we don't have to keep the toes lifted in Pada Bandha, we can set them down, but we want to keep that arch maintained. What this does is this activates the muscles on the interior of the leg and the exterior of the leg. This is really important because we want to make sure we utilize our muscles in our legs efficiently, so we're not favoring one muscle over the other, overdeveloping one muscle, and we have a lot of muscles working together to share the work of holding your body up, which is going to make you feel lighter and more efficient with your energy usage, therefore not fatiguing one part of your body while the other one is hanging out and not really doing anything at all. Now, as I activate Pada Bandha from the feet, I feel a rooting action as I'm pressing down into the ground with the center of my heel, as well as the place right where your flip-flop would go between your big toe and your second toe, and then right below the pinky toe. So there's a triangle action that you're creating as you press down with the feet that's going to help you lift up through the legs and activate all of your leg muscles on all four sides, front, back, outer, and inner. So I've got Pada Bandha. I feel really rooted as I press down, and I feel that energy rebounding up as I lift my kneecaps and engage my legs. So now my legs are completely engaged, and they're involved in whatever asana I'm in, whether it be Tadasana, whether it be a one-legged pose, or any kind of warrior pose. I've activated these bandhas. In addition, if I'm doing a standing balancing pose, I'm also activating these bandhas even when my foot is not on the ground, because again, it activates all the muscles of the leg, it helps me hold it up in the air, and it helps me again be very efficient. We want to activate our bodies in yoga. If you've ever picked up a child that's sleeping, or maybe a friend who may be a little too intoxicated and they're limp, it's really hard to pick them up. It's the same with our body. If we're activated, we can easily lift up our body. Just like when a child jumps into your arms, you can practically throw them into the sky because they're so active and they're so engaged. So that is where we start with our bandhas in the feet. Next, we're going to come to Mula Bandha, which is the pelvic floor lift. What we're doing here is we're lifting the pelvic floor and we're pulling all of our energy into our center line. I like to think of it as if someone put a cord in the crown of my head all the way down to between where my sit bones are, and I'm pulling everything in towards the center. So from the sides I'm pulling in, and from front and back I'm pulling in, and then I'm lifting up. And what this does, this helps us really get our hips engaged. This really helps us get into our body, and this is where we find where we start to feel light when we're doing jump throughs, or any pose where we're lifting ourselves up and really engaging the core muscles. It's kind of like an action of pulling in the perineum, or pulling in and lifting up between your sit bones. I've heard some really fun ways that you can explain it. It's like, for boys, it can be like pulling the boys in, you know? I'm not a boy, that's what I've heard. For women, it's like trying to not start your moon cycle when you're wearing white shorts. You're really trying to pull everything in. So that is how we find Mula Bandha. It's really an action of pulling everything in. Once you get used to it, you won't have to take so much energy, but this is so efficient and so great for you to have in the rest of your life, especially for pelvic floor health. So it's a really great bandha to incorporate. Next, I'm going to come to Uddiyana Bandha. Uddiyana Bandha is where we pull the belly in and under the rib cage. Now, we do certain things in yoga like Agni Sara where we pump the navel in and under a lot, and that's an exercise in itself. This is something a little separate. When I'm exercising Uddiyana Bandha, I'm engaging my core, I'm pulling it underneath, and I'm keeping my core engaged, which is going to support my back, because anytime we engage the front of the body, it's going to support the back body. So I'm really finding this nice engaged core, but I'm not pulling it in and leaning forward. I'm still keeping my rib cage in and my heart lifted. So I have myself really tall, rooted down in the feet, lifted in the pelvic floor, pulling that energy in and up under with my Uddiyana Bandha, and then I come to Jalanda Bandha, which is the neck lock. The way I like to incorporate Jalanda Bandha is bringing my chin slightly in so it allows my cervical spine to be centered over the rest of my spine. This is going to allow for ideal alignment in the bone structure of the body, which is going to help you feel more comfortable in your poses, as well as give you ease of movement. So when we find alignment and our bones are stacking, we're much more efficient with the usage of our body, and it's going to feel more comfortable. And this can come into play in anything. You can do a spinal twist. Some people tend to reach with their chin. You don't want to do that. You want to pull your chin in and turn and keep yourself aligned and keep the space in the back of your neck open. The last bandha I want to talk about is Hasta Bandha, which is the hands. When you're doing any kind of pose, and I'll come into Virdrasana too for an example, we don't want to have our hands limp. See my limp hands? This is a really inefficient way to use our body. We want to open our hands and find energy here. The same goes for poses like downward facing dog. I see a lot of people come into down dog and they're pressing on the ground with their wrist and there's a curl to their fingers. That is not Hasta Bandha. We want to spread the fingers and press them down. We want to root through our hands like we do our feet, whether they're in the air or on the mat. And what that's going to do is that's going to help you utilize the muscles in your forearms and your upper arms. So you're not dumping a lot of weight to the base of your wrist, which is going to honestly cause injury later. You're using all the muscles in your arm efficiently. You're building strength in the arms and in the muscles efficiently. And that's going to help you not injure yourself and be more effective with your energy usage and be able to sustain your practice and practice longer. So this is the basics on the bandhas. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please like or comment below. Please hit the subscribe button for more videos about not only yoga, but things that pertain to my yogic lifestyle. Namaste.
Thank you.